Hello friends, welcome back to our video lecture series on course title Fluid Mechanics 2. In this lecture we are going to discuss channel transitions. In the previous lecture we have discussed specific energy, depth discharge diagram, specific force diagram, and we have also discussed all those diagrams and how to plot those diagrams with respect to depth. And in this lecture we will start new topic, channel transition. Now, in case of long channels, it may become necessary to provide the channel transition. So, what is mean by the transition basically? So, transition is the portion of the channel in which we are going to connect two different channel where the two different channel having various area of cross section, or two different channel having different velocities, or two different channel having different depths. So, at that time we are going to provide the channel transition. Or simply, we can take an example of an irrigation channel. So when your water is flowing through irrigation channel, what is the condition? There should be a particular depth available in the particular channel, so people can take water from the channel easily without using any external power. So they should be able to take in water from the channel as directly under the force of gravity. For this purpose, we need to maintain particular depth of flow in the that particular irrigation channel. Now when we want to increase depth of flow, obviously we need to provide a transition, so depth of flow would be get increased. Or instead, you can say that if we want to increase the velocity, obviously we are going to reduce the area of cross section. So in that case, we can simply go for the reduction of width of the channel. Now by reducing width of the channel, obviously flow will be get accelerated slightly and discharge will be remain constant, but our flow will get accelerated. We will achieve that velocity whatever we want. Or by increasing width of the channel, we can reduce velocity in case of irrigation channel to reduce the scurrying losses which may going to take place. In case of navigation channel, we want to increase velocity. In case of other purposes, we want to decrease that velocity. So all those things will be carried out by providing the transition. So transition is nothing but we are going to altering the cross section of the channel. Like say we are going to increase the we are going to raise the bed level of the channel, or we are going to reduce or increase the width of the channel. So we will consider only two cases where the width of channel cross section has been decreased, reduction in width of channel, and reduction in depth of flow, that is by raising the bed level of the channel by providing hump which is provided at the bottom of the channel. So bed level of the channel will be raised, and what it is going to affect it, that velocity or specific energy, how it is going to affect it, that we are going to discuss in this lecture. So whatever the channel transition that may be caused by the what we have discussed, by increasing width or raising or lowering the bottom of the channel. Now channel transition may be classified as sudden transition or gradual transition. Obviously, as their name indicates, sudden means transition has been taking place over very short length, or gradual means transition taking place over the long reach of the channel. Now channel transition can be effectively used the best as measurement of flow in open channel, like say different types of flow, measuring flumes. The same phenomena we have discussed in case of pipe flow, what we have discussed in the fluid mechanics 1, venturimeter, measurement of flow by using venturimeter. The same flume can be used, venturi flume, in case of open channel by reducing area of cross section of the channel, something like this, and by measuring that depth of flow at that reduce channel section, and then again restoring the flow of the channel section. So this is what the venturi flume. Again, changing the velocity in channel. Obviously, if you are going to increase or decrease width of the channel, or increase or decrease bed level of the channel, in that case velocity is going to change. In case of irrigation channel, reducing the velocity to avoid scurrying, and obviously by reducing a velocity you are increasing the depth of channel which will be available up to the surface of the that particular channel section, so you can easily take water from that channel. In navigation channel, to increase velocity to avoid deposition. So in case of navigation channels, we need to increase velocities. In that case, we can increase it by reducing the width of the channel or reducing the depth of flow, negotiating the changes in channel section with minimum energy losses. Obviously, by altering whatever the energy, we can increase or decrease, or whatever transition we can work out, and that's what it is, a basic application. Again, dissipating energy, whenever a channel or water is carrying a higher kinetic energy, in that case for the dissipating energy also we are going to make use of those channel transitions. So what are the types of channel transition? The basic channel transition are the sudden and gradual, but instead that further channel transition can be classified as channel transition due to reduction of width of channel, the first one. Second one, channel transition due to gradual rise in bed level of the channel. Third one is the channel transition due to reduction in width of channel combined with the rise in bed level. So it is combination of above two. That is, it is also reducing width as well as it is also increasing or rising the bed level of the channel. Transition due to increase in width of the channel. Transition due to gradual depression in bed level in the channel. Those are the types of transition. You can see here in the picture here it is sudden contraction, that is we are suddenly decreasing the width of the channel, reduction of the width of channel. This is the type 1. Here it is gradual contraction and gradual expansion. Here it is raising the bed level by providing small obstruction, or you can say that here it is contraction. So we are just simply raising the bed level, or by providing, if you see this in the plan view, you can say that it is a reducing the width of channel. And if you watch it in a sectional view, so in case of raising the bed level, we can simply say that we are going to provide small hump or any obstruction, so where the bed level will be increased suddenly. Or you can also go here gradually, something like this. So by increasing bed level of the channel, so if this is my channel, in this case I am increasing my bed level and my flow will take place in this direction likewise. Am I right? So this is how we are working out the channel transition. Obviously this bridge pier is also one of the example of channel transition, where the area of flow or whatever the width of channel has been decreased, or reduction of the channel width has been takes place. All those are the channel transition. Now we will see basically how to channel transition are going to affect the channel properties, or whatever the channel energy or whatever the flow in the channel. Before proceeding, we will go through the assumption which are made in the discussion of the channel transition. The first one is no energy loss takes place in between two sections. So whatever the before transition and after transition, or during the transition, there is no energy loss in between those two sections. It is assumed that channel bottom is horizontal and the specific energy will equal at both sections. So whatever the specific energy at section 1 and section 2, both are equal, and this energy will be measured with respect to the bottom of the channel, not with respect to the datum of the channel, or datum or common datum. We are measuring this energy with respect to the bottom of the channel, what we have discussed previously, specific energy. So horizontal rectangular channel is considered for simplicity. So we are not considering any other shape of the channel. We are simply considering horizontal rectangular channel. So it would be a simpler to discuss and understand. Now let's proceed. We are going to discuss only two cases. The first one, channel transition with reduction of width of rectangular channel. So we are going to make the transition in rectangular channel by reducing its width. So if you see here, this is our section 1 and this is our section 2, and in between section 1 and section 2 our width has been decreased. If you see here, it is not sudden contraction, it's gradual contraction. So we have decreased our width of channel gradually. Now there is one thing you should remember, that in channel transition what we are discussing, whatever the discharge will remain constant in between section 2 and section 1 and section 2. So my discharge is not going to change. Whatever the discharge here, Q1 will remain same at Q2. But obviously due to reduction in width of the channel, whatever the small q, discharge per unit width, which is given by capital Q upon B, this is going to change as my value of B is going to change. Even this Q is constant, but still with the changes in value of B, obviously this discharge is going to change. Now if you see here, if my this width B1 is greater than this B2 at this section 2, width of channel at section 2, or there is another section which is shown by the dotted line, section 3, further decrease in the width of the channel. So as my B goes on decreasing, obviously this Q goes on increasing, because B is the denominator in his equation, and in that case this Q goes on increasing in the with the reduction in this particular width of the channel. Now if I am assuming that whatever the energy of the channel will remain constant in between section 2, then obviously whatever the depth of flow is going to govern and velocity is going to govern that energy. Now simply if I'm computing that q1 and q2 at section 1 and section 2, what I will get here, this q1 will be equal to q upon b1 and q2 will be equal to q upon b2. As we have seen in the previous diagram, as this b2 is less than b1, obviously this q2 will be greater than q1. As my b decreases, width decreases, this q will be increases. So the increase in unit discharge reduces the depth of flow. Obviously if I am reducing here the width of the channel, so depth of flow will slightly decreases. Here it is the sectional view, and the specific energy has been plotted at two different sections. So if you see here, this is the specific energy curve at section 1, and this is the location of critical depth at section 1, and no, here it is critical depth. So it is critical depth at section 1, yc1 critical depth, and here is the depth of flow at section 1, which is greater than the critical depth. If you coming at section 2, this is the critical depth. In this section 2, it is critical depth, here it is C2, and at the section 3, which is shown by the dotted line, that is y3 is equal to yc3. Now what's happening here, as I'm reducing my width, obviously my depth of flow goes on decreasing because velocity has been increased. As I'm assuming that my energy is constant, so obviously my depth goes on decreasing, and point may come when with the further reduction in the B, my depth of flow will become equal to the critical depth. Now we know that at the critical depth, whatever the value of discharge or whatever the value of Q is maximum. Now if any further increment in this particular width may alter those property, so this is the final limit where we can up to which we can reduce the width of the channel. So as my width is decreasing and decreasing, obviously my depth goes on decreasing, and with the decrease in growth depth, what we are getting here at the particular point, my depth of flow will become equal to the critical depth, and we know that at the critical depth our discharge is maximum. Now this is the possible case up to which we can reduce our width of the channel, and beyond that that may going to affect whatever the flow may converted into the supercritical flow, and there may be another losses which may going to take place, like say scurrying, due to that higher amount of energy due to that supercritical flow. So this is our final limit up to which we can reduce our width of channel, and whatever the depth of flow can reduce up to this critical depth, and where we are getting Q is equal to Q max. So this is what in case of reduction in width of channel. Now in the second case, we are going to raise the bottom level of the channel, that is we are going to provide small hump at the bottom of the channel. Now as our assumption said that we are considering constant energy, that is whatever the energy at section 1, this is our section 1, if it is our section 1, and if it is section 1 and section 2, and if I am considering those two sections and I am computing energy at those two sections, that is energy at section 1 E1 and energy at section 2 E2. Now according to our assumption, those energy should be the same. So whatever the energy at section 1, that would be equal to this energy at section 2 plus whatever the bottom level that has been raised due to provision of this hump, that is increase or raising the bottom level of the channel. That is, if our height of the hump is delta Z, so then our specific energy at section 1 E1 will be equal to this E2 plus delta Z, or we can say that this delta Z would be the difference between this E1 and E2. So this delta Z can be computed as E1 minus E2. So this is what happening. If you see here the with the specific energy curve which is plotted in between section 1 and section 2, here it is, this is the section at the section A, and this is the section at the section 2. Now if the specific energy should be the constant, then obviously this E1 should be equal to this E2 plus this delta Z. Now as I am providing this hump, obviously due to provision this hump or due to raising the bottom level of the channel, obviously whatever the energy or whatever the depth of flow going to decrease in the direction of flow, because velocity will be flow will be get accelerated slightly. And if I want to keep this energy constant at section 2, then obviously we need to consider this hump which is provided at the section 2, and with the further increase in the velocity, one point may come with the provision of this raising the bottom level. One point may come where your depth of flow will become equal to the critical depth, and beyond that it may not possible. So in this case, whatever the value of this z delta z max will be equal to that when your depth of flow reaches to the critical depth. Beyond that, if you further increase this hump, height of the hump or depth of the hump, in that case obviously your flow will be transformed into the supercritical flow, and that may not feasible. And obviously the same discussion we are going to make in the hydraulic jump. So while discussing hydraulic jump, we will discuss this same thing again. So if I want to compute this value of delta z, so delta z will be given by the equation E2 minus E1. Also, as we are altering the this bed of the channel, obviously what we have discussed previously, specific energy is generally measured with respect to the bottom of the channel, and this is what the case. If we are raising the bottom level of the channel, obviously whatever the E2 will be less than the E1. With how much? Whatever the value of this height of hump, because we are generally measuring this specific energy with respect to the bed of the channel, and not with respect to the datum, separate datum. So whatever the energy which is measured with respect to the bed of the channel is known as specific energy. And if we are raising that bed level, obviously this energy will be reduced at the section 2. And to stick up with their basic assumption, there is no energy loss and specific energy is equal in between two sections. So this equation is going to represent that condition, that delta z will be equal to E2 minus E1 minus E2. So hope you understood those channel transition. So we have only discussed two channel transition, that is raising the bottom level of the channel and reducing the width of the channel. Hope you understood this. Thank you for watching. Those are the references which I have used during my presentation. Thank you for watching.